All right, my cosmic family and friends, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. So glad to have you back here. So, today, when I'm recording, it is actually the full moon in Aquarius. I've got my full moon earrings, my moon jewelry. So, I hope you're taking advantage of this full moon in Aquarius. I did create a video on what this means for your sign. Hopefully, you've already checked it out. It's a very lucky full moon. You want to make sure you take advantage of that. But today, as promised, we are talking about this shift of the lunar nodes. This is something that hasn't happened in 20 years. So the last time the nodes were in the signs of Leo and Aquarius was about 2008, 2009, probably even some of 2007. So really think back to what was going on in your life around 2008, because you may see some of those similar themes playing out. It's not going to be exactly the same because we do have Jupiter and the sun into play, which are very benefic signs. But really, this shift is almost like a timeline shift. And the way I see the nodes in a natal chart, it really has to do with your life lesson. What is the lesson that the universe wants you to learn in this lifetime? So I see it as, right, we're all up in heaven getting ready to put our souls into human bodies. And as we're waiting in this line, we're handed a blueprint to our life. That blueprint is our natal chart. And through that natal chart, we can unlock so many things. And, we can really see what the struggles in our lives may or may not be, what our celebrations might be, and really what is our karmic path and what is the lesson that the universe wants us to learn. So again, for the first time in 2 decades, the lunar nodes are officially entering the axis of Aquarius and Leo, and they will stay here until March of 2028. So the North Node is moving into Aquarius, which is the sign of the collective, the network, the future, right? Think of this. We all know the song, The Age of Aquarius. That's what we're living right now, right? We are entering the age of Aquarius. The South Node is moving into Leo, which is the sign of the individual, the sign of the ego, the spotlight. So the universe is handing us a megaphone and saying, are you doing it for the applause or are you doing it for the impact? So really these two signs, between them, we're going to have this push and this pull because they really are almost opposites. And like I said, one side is going to want us to release something while the other one wants us to learn and grow. So to make this event even more intense, on the exact same day, the sun in Leo is opposing Pluto in retrograde, which is in Aquarius. And Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is really asking us to look within. Pluto brings a full-blown underworld energy. So it could be exposing power struggles, shedding old masks, or even forcing deep financial truths or personal truths to the surface. So thank you for joining. As I said, I'm your astrology coach, and my purpose here is to help you know what's coming and help you work with the energy of what's coming, right? If we are prepared for things to come, it helps us move through things that much better. So I am a whole sign astrologer, tropical zodiac, and many people are talking about these nodes moving signs in July, and you could definitely be feeling the impact. So some people that follow True Node, they're saying it happens end of July. People that use mean nodes are saying it happens in August. Like I said, it is an 18-month cycle. So we are kicking off about now, and you can expect all of these things to unfold over the next 18 months. You are going to want to make sure you have your natal chart ready so you can see what your rising sign is. If you don't know, or have your natal chart, I have a quick 5-minute video showing you how to access your natal chart using free software. So whenever you watch any of my videos, I always recommend that you do have that chart ready. Just so you can see if you have any planets that are making an impact, because that certainly will change the outcome for you. All right, so let's just go right ahead, and I created a presentation for you. Let me get that set up. All right, so here's a little bit of information about the lunar nodes and how they are in the plane of the Earth's path. So typically when the nodes are close to a full moon or new moon cycle, it causes an eclipse to happen. And this is, we'll have 2 eclipses occurring in August. So make sure, if you haven't already watch your August horoscope sign so you know what's to come in August for your sign. All right, All right, so let's talk a little bit about these individual nodes. So the North Node, which looks like a horseshoe with the curve at the top, if you see this in your natal chart, this is probably your karmic promise where the universe needs you to grow in this lifetime. Now, the nodes currently are transiting, and what I'm talking about currently is where they are transiting in the world. So all of this node talk I'm about to cover today is basically for the collective, and it may trigger different planets within your chart. So right now, as the North Node is entering a new sign, this is going to be your path where the universe is going to be teaching you lessons in where you should be growing. And I will be covering that in each sign. Where the South Node lands is where you need to currently release and let go. And as you see, they're on total opposite axis. So it's really going to be that push-pull happening. This Leo and Aquarius axis shift is really a transition from this validation of your ego to more of a collective innovation that is what Aquarius is going to be bringing us. So, as I said, many people that follow the true nodes, these nodes switch signs on July 27th. So 18 months moving on is when you can expect these things to be happening. And Leo and Aquarius are on opposite signs. So as I said, we have the sun also in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius, which are very opposite, right? We have this leader, shining king, and then we have Pluto, which rules the underworld. So really total opposite sides of the spectrum. And when I show you these charts, you're going to really see that push-pull, and the universe really wants you to find that balance between the signs and between the houses. All right. In addition to all of this, we also have a minor grand trine, which is occurring between the signs of Leo, Gemini, and Aries. So we call this a mini grand trine. It's not like the grand trine I've talked about before, because we have a sextile to Uranus in the sign of Gemini, and then Neptune is being trined in Aries, okay, with the sun in Leo. Previously, I talked about this grand trine that happened with the July 14th new moon, where we have this grand trine between Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune, really helping us to rebuild, right? They're going to break things down. These planets are going to give us the tools and the power we need to be making those transformations. And that's what I said. We really are going to bring about a timeline shift where everything that you know and lived up until now, you're going to almost come out a new person at the end of these 18 months. Pretty exciting, right? So let's get started right off with Aries. And my Aries friends, this is happening in your houses 11 and 5. So we have the North Node in your 11th house of Aquarius and the South Node and the Sun in your 5th house in Leo. So really what you're looking at is expanding your network, your friends. You can expect to see more collaboration, more innovative use of technology. That's what Aquarius will help to bring. We're going to be releasing something of the 5th house. The 5th house has to do a lot with your hobbies, your skills, your creativity. It can even be romance. So here the universe is asking you to balance these two houses. So you've got your house of your social network. That's where they want you to grow. And then you're going to limit or release something that hasn't been working for you within that 5th house. And that would be your hobbies. It also has to do with children. So maybe you have a child that is going through that next phase and maybe they don't need as much of your care. So I kind of went through this. I went through a career shift where, I was the mother, I was taking care of my kids, and then they grew up and didn't need me anymore. So I took on a bigger, bolder career because I had the time for that. And this might be something that my Aries friends might be encountering during this time. All right, let's move on to Taurus Sun and Taurus Rising. So this node access is going to be happening in houses 10 and 4. So this is going to be really a work, life, career trajectory, okay? Because your 4th house is all about home and family. Your 10th house is all about career. So it's going to want you to grow in your career, and you are leaving something behind in the 4th house. And that could be even moving a home or relocating for work. Okay, those would be your 4th house themes, where you're stepping out of your comfort zone. Don't be at home all the time. The universe is really wanting to push you, get out there, network, and start selling yourself. All right. All right, Geminis, this is happening with your North Node in your 9th house and your South Node in the 3rd house. So this is really an axis of the mind. So the shift here for you, Gemini, is it's time to zoom out. Maybe you've been involved in a lot of local noise, local chatter, daily gossip. Those are all details of the 3rd house, right? Your neighborhood, communication. So the North Node and Pluto in your 9th house are asking you to look at the bigger picture. So this transit is going to pull you toward higher education, spiritual, global perspectives, or even publishing. So what you need to do is release the need to have a quick opinion on everything and start seeking deep, objective wisdom. So it's like you're moving away from the nonsense to some more deeper subjects. So maybe it's learning, growing. Are you taking classes? Are you going to university, taking up a new certification? We're really looking to broaden and widen your lens here. All right, Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising. This is happening in your 8th and the 2nd house, which is your money and value access. Okay, so the North Node is in the 7th house. The South Node in the Sun is in the, sorry, messed up there. You got your North Node in the 8th house, and the Sun and the South Node is in your 2nd house. Pluto is in the 8th. So the shift here for you, Cancer, is this is going to be a deep financial and psychological pivot. So the Sun and South Node are really spotlighting your second house of personal money, possessions, and self-worth. So maybe it's making you hold on to things a little tighter, or possibly seeking external validation through what you own. But the North Node and Pluto in your 8th house wants you to master this shared resources. Those are the pieces of the 8th house, those investments, things that you share with a partner. This can also have to do with psychological intimacy. So it's time to really clear out the toxic emotional and financial debts. So you may see a sudden shift in income streams or shared assets, but also important to have honest conversations with people that you share those assets with. All right, moving on to Leo. This is happening in your 7th and 1st house. So we have the North Node in the 7th house, where we are being asked to grow and really focus on relationships. You may even be meeting unconventional partners. And then we have this 1st house of release. So 1st house really has to do with your personality and your identity. So we are looking at this release of your ego, you being the expert on everything, of needing constant validation. So some tips for you, Leo: really work to practice active listening and being more authentic. So this is a really big shift for you, Leo, because the Sun and South Node are in your 1st house of self, ego, and identity. So you are being asked to shed your mask that you've had, your whole personal identity. So we're really looking at a fairly large shift for you. And then the North Node and Pluto sitting in your 7th house of relationships. So your growth for the next 18 months lies in how you relate to others. And it's about building partnerships and learning to share the spotlight and trust other people. All right, Virgo, you are up next, and this is happening in your houses 6 and 12. So the 6th house has to do with your daily routines, your health, your mental wellness, and spiritual alignment. You could expect mind and body breakthroughs. This is a good time to prioritize rest without being guilty, right? Take time for yourself. Focus on grounded healing for yourself. It's really time to bring your spiritual insights down to earth. So the Sun and South Node in your 12th house are going to make you want to retreat and take time for yourself, or maybe even escape. Just be in your quiet place, right? I like that too sometimes. But the North Node and Pluto in your 6th house, they want routine, they want action, they want daily habits, they want physical health. So you're being tasked here with upgrading your daily routine to help make your body better, right? Okay. Libras, I am all over the place today, right? I don't know if it's this full moon energy has really got me. I feel like buttons are getting pushed, all kinds of things happening. All right, so we are talking about Libra. This is happening in houses 5 and 11, and this is your access of creation and community. So the 11th house is your networks, your friend groups, and this is where the universe is wanting you to release so that you can gain and grow in your 5th house. Now, the 5th house is all about enjoyment. So maybe you're committing yourself too much to groups and networking, and it's just time to just enjoy the things that you love to do. That's what the universe wants you to do. So be encouraged to approach joy on your terms. So stop thinking about whether or not people like you and start thinking more about whether or not you're having fun. Because you're being given permission to play and create. So the Sun and South Node are in your 11th house, showing that you've been heavily invested in fitting into social circles, groups, pleasing the crowd. And the North Node and Pluto in your 5th house want you to reclaim your own joy, right? What makes you happy? Get back to the romance, get back to the creative expression, something that you used to do back in 2008. What did you do in 2008? What brought you joy? So stop worrying about what the group thinks and be yourself and enjoy life. All right, we are on to Scorpio next. So Scorpio, this is happening in your 4th and your 10th house. So you are making the shift from your public life to your private life. All right, you've been spending a lot of time on your work, maybe building up your career that the universe now wants you to hold it in. All right, they want you to work on your home, work on your family, make your home a sanctuary, clear out the clutter, start delegating responsibilities at work. It doesn't all have to fall to you. So the focus is shifting to your foundation. So the Sun and South Node in your 10th house have had you hyper-focused on career status or professional applause or public perception. So the North Node and Pluto in your 4th house, they want you to go back to the home, right? Go back to your roots. This cycle is about healing your ancestral baggage, reconstructing your private life, maybe anchoring yourself within. You can't rule the world if your inner sanctuary is unstable. So take a step back, make sure the home life is good, and really concentrate on that for the next 18 months. All right. We've got Sagittarius next. So this is happening in houses 3 and 9. So your growth here lies in learning new skills, connecting with community, and sharing your voice. You may see a shift in communication style here. I want you to focus on two-way dialogue and not engage yourself in doing all of the talking all of the time. All right, so the focus here is to bring your ideals down to your immediate environment, right? You love the 9th house themes of grand philosophies, travel, the big picture. And this is where the Sun and the South Node are currently sitting. But the North Node and Pluto are activating your 3rd house of local community, of communication, of your practical skills. So we're almost asking you to downsize a little bit. You've got that big picture. Let's narrow it down. And the universe is asking you to stop preaching your truth, stop being the sage on the stage, and start teaching others or helping individually in your daily interactions, right? What can you do for your local community? That's where you are being asked to grow. All right, Capricorn, are you ready to claim financial independence? Because you have this happening in houses 2 and 8. So this is a massive financial restructuring for my Capricorn friends. The Sun and South Node are in your 8th house, which highlights your dependency on other people's money, loans, or even energetic attachments. So the North Node and Pluto in your 2nd house are asking you to build your own earning power, right? They want you to have your own financial independence and not rely on other people. So think about who you may have relied on in the past. Are you stepping out from your family and maybe going out on your own, or maybe even a business partner, breaking away and claiming your own independence? So this is a time for you to do that. really good for clearing out debt, managing your finances. Maybe you're getting more brought in. But the universe really is demanding that you build your own independent income streams. All right. And you can expect some money to flow in this area. All right. So good luck to you. Next up, we have Aquarius. All right. And this is happening in your houses 1 and 7. So again, very much looking at the self reinvention and stepping into your own power. So you're kind of going backwards. You're moving from the relationships and really focusing more on yourself, right? Your life doesn't need to be all about the relationships you have, but make sure you have a good relationship with yourself. Put yourself first. Be sure to set firm boundaries and really embrace your own independence. So this is like a cosmic rebirth for you. So the Sun and South Node are in your 7th house of partnerships, meaning you may have been overly focused on your relationships or seeking validation through others. So with this North Node and Pluto in your 1st house of self, the spotlight is shining down on you. So you're being called to step into your own unique identity, take up your own space, and lead without permission. Okay? You be you. Now, when I think of Aquarius, I think Aquarius people are really good at this anyway. But maybe you have been hyper-focused on relationships and that your partner is an extension of you. Right? Now you are in the limelight. Take care of yourself. You can't love others if you don't love yourself first. All right. So good luck to you, Aquarians. And our last sign is Pisces. So Pisces, this is happening in your 12th and your 6th house. So the evolution here lies in letting go in the need to fix everything, right? 6th house is your daily work, what you do every day, your habits, your health. So updates to the home and combined inspiration can be the message here. So your spirit, your inner subconscious, that's all the 12th house. So this is more of a spiritual evolution for you. And it's weird because I had a dream the other night and it was all about the 12th house. The 12th house kept coming to me. Now the Sun and the South Node are in your 6th house, where you might have been hyperfixated on control or micromanaging your family or your household, or even dealing with physical stress. So the North Node and Pluto are moving into your 12th house of the subconscious, of solitude and spiritual liberation. So this really is your cue to surrender, let go of that need to fix everything, and develop a spiritual meditative practice behind the scenes, right? The magic is going to come behind the scenes, what you're doing on your own in solitude. All right, so the golden rule here for the next 18 months, your true self isn't about standing above the crowd, but it's about standing with people, right? The Sun-Pluto opposition is going to bring a flash of clarity on where you're holding this ego structure. So don't fight it. I always say the best thing to do, go with the flow. Let the old masks burn away. Don't hold on to things you don't need to hold on to so that you can let your own authenticity shine. So please, friends, drop your rising sign in the comments. Let me know if you're feeling this shift. Don't forget to like, subscribe, right? Again, I always tell you, grab your natal chart. Don't forget to watch the how to cast your own natal chart. Check out my other videos. I will always let you know what's coming, and I hope you enjoyed our time together today. See you back here soon. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Mwah.